Everybody, this is DW, Daniel Whited from Denver, Colorado, and it is just so exciting to have you with us tonight. We're excited about the doctor's call and the doctor's clinic where the field is your waiting room, and we're going to put you in a position to where you can absolutely have optimum health. And Dr. Kurt Fisnick is with us tonight, and he's going to bring some information that is going to be quite revealing. Dr. Kurt, are you with us, partner?
I'm here. How are you doing there, DW?
I'm awesome, man. Take it away, buddy. I'll catch up with you in a minute.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. You know, it's September 27th, 2016, and DW, thank you for being part of this call every week, each and every week. You know, and thank you, everybody, for being on the call as well, taking time out of your schedule and being here. I think it's an important call. I think it's important because we can talk about how these products affect everybody's health. And what we try and do every week is we try and bring up topics of importance, topics involving health issues that are affecting all of us every single day. Last week, we were talking about kidney health, you know, kind of a little recap. And we talked about the fact there's many things that we do every day that damage the kidney, and kidney failure is actually the 9th top leading cause of death in the Western world. And, you know, the statistic that hit me hard was that just as many people die from kidney failure as they do from breast cancer or prostate cancer. And amazing, isn't it? And nobody really talks about it. You know, you don't go to your doctor and your doctor said, well, you know, let's check and see how that kidney's working, right? And after the call, DW and I talked a little bit about, you know, what we're going to talk about this week, you know, what was our subject going to be. And so here we are. I thought about it for a little bit, and I decided that it might be good to talk about the pancreas, right? The pancreatic cancer is something that affects a lot of people. It's actually one of the fastest growing types of cancers in America, and it's one of the, I believe it's the 4th leading cause of cancer death in the United States. So before I get started, I really want to just say this, that anything we say on this call really is meant to not to construe or say that we're diagnosing. There's no medical diagnosis. It's not meant to take the place of any type of your doctor's recommendations, and it's not meant to suggest that we've come up with a cure or treatment. All we're saying is that if you follow a few suggestions, maybe you can have better health, maybe you can have better optimum health and achieving and staying healthier for longer periods of time. In fact, if you listen to me enough, you'll hear me tell people, you know, the only cure for cancer is don't get it. Don't get it at all. That's the cure for cancer. And so when we look at this, let's take a look at something. You know, did you know that every single day your immune system fights off an average of 7 forms of cancer every single day? If you do something that slows down your immune system, ultimately, you're going to have a problem. Someday you're going to have a problem. And I was doing a talk one time on cancer, and before I did the talk, I like to do my research. I like to fact check. I like to have the studies, right? And like Hillary Clinton said last night on the debate, you know, she prepared. She prepared for the debate. And if she gets to be president, she's prepared for it. And I don't know if that's true, and I don't want to make this a political call. All I want to say is that that's what I do when I do these calls. And some of the things that I found out was that back in the 70s, for those of you that are as old as me, you know, we were under the Nixon administration, and they formed the President's Council on Cancer back in the 1970s. And they said then, they were going to find a cure for cancer before the end of that decade. So by 1980, the year that I graduated from high school, they said that they would have cancer eradicated. Well, we all know what's happened. Cancer's continued to worsen. The American Cancer Society has been formed, and lots of people have donated. Billions and billions of dollars have gone into research, and no cure has been found. The National Institutes of Health has funded research. Still no cure. And so when we take a look at that, we start looking and we go, you know, the rate of cancer is actually getting worse and worse and worse despite the valiant efforts that are being done by brilliant scientists. I mean, there's not stupid people working on this. There's some brilliant doctors, some brilliant scientists working on it. And I think that the reason we're not coming up for the cure is that we're really looking at the wrong thing. We're looking for a cure, but we're looking for it within a treatment. And I think that what we ought to start doing is we need to start really looking at the cure being the prevention. Remember, I say this, and I've said this for many, many years, that the only cure for cancer is don't get it. Don't get cancer, and you'll be cured of cancer. And so keep that in mind when you're talking about it. According to the research, almost all cancer is man-made. They've done studies in ancient tombs of the pharaohs in Egypt, and they've exhumed bodies, and they've revealed that no one in those times had cancer. In fact, only one case of cancer was discovered in the body of somebody from way, way back then, thousands of years ago. Well, since that time, cancer rates have climbed, and they've climbed considerably within the last couple of decades, really since we became kind of a chemical society. So the amount of toxic chemicals that we have in our environment are causing a problem. There's some sort of a relationship. So if you want to find a cure, you have to really look at the cause. And what I'm proposing right now is that the same thing that many scientists are proposing is that we need to reduce the footprint that we leave behind on the earth, on our society, by reducing the number of chemicals that are within the world. And we need to address the toxic load that's in our body, right? You can't simply do that by doing a detox. It doesn't work. We can't simply do that by changing our lifestyle. We have to do a lot more than that. There's things here that we have to change. And so last week we talked about how the kidneys are getting overworked. They're getting overtaxed. The kidney is one of the prime filters for your blood. If toxins get past the kidney, then the liver has to take over, right? And every day stuff gets by the kidneys. Well, the liver tries to dump the toxins out as well, but it just doesn't know how to get rid of some of the chemicals because the chemicals have evolved faster than the function of the liver in the human body. So the liver has to decide which toxins can it get rid of, and it kind of does almost like a triage. It says we can get rid of these, but these over here we don't know how to get rid of, so we're just going to put them in a safe place till we have time to deal with it. So usually that's deposited around the fat cells. Most toxins are fat soluble, and so they're deposited in fat. We burn the fat as energy. The toxins are re-released back into the system, but when they get re-released, they're more concentrated than when you took them in the first time. So the liver just can't keep up. And if your liver can't keep up, you're going to have some problems. And you have fat deposited into the body. The fat is subsequently burnt as energy, and that just causes a system. And this makes problems worse because the toxins are more concentrated, and the brain sends a signal out, and it tells the body, hang on to those toxic-loaded fat cells with all your might. Hang on to them. Don't burn them as energy, because if you burn them as energy, all those toxins are going to be re-released into the system. And so you got to start putting all of this together. Well, your body starts to burn some of the wrong fuels, and the pancreas just sitting there, and it's being hit with all the sugar that we have in our diets and the foods that just aren't right. We load up on diets that are high in fructose, which is a sugar. It's high in fructose sugars. Your body's not built for all of this, and I know some people say that fructose and eating lots of fruit is really good for you, and I agree. Most of us don't get enough, but when you start taking a look at it, the sugar feeds the cancers, and we start eating foods that are loaded with sugar, and unless it specifically says cane sugar, it's probably fruit sugar. And when you eat cookies, cakes, things like that, it's loaded up with sugar beet sugar, and that's high in fructose. And we're being loaded up with corn sugar that's high in high fructose corn syrup, or what they call corn sugar, and the body just doesn't know what to do with it. And all of these things are adding up. I remember it was about 7 years ago, I was reading some studies, and they said that if you drank just 2 cans of soda per week, just 2 per week, it increased your risk of pancreatic cancer by somewhere near 80%. I thought, holy cow. I mean, I go out to lunch with somebody. I eat lunch, and I was drinking Coca-Cola at the time, and I would have a couple of sodas just with my lunch. And I thought, I can't do that if I want to lower my risk of cancer. So I quit drinking soda. It's been 7 years since I had any kind of a sugary drink. And then we take a look at what happened in the 70s. And they started telling us back in the 70s that we needed to change our diet. We needed to look at the different fats that we were eating. And we switched most of our protein over to chicken. We started eating a lot of chicken, but a lot of the chicken that we eat is loaded up with heavy metals like arsenic and different kinds of growth hormones. And they can take a chicken, they can raise it from a baby chick to a fryer chick in just a matter of months. And so I was looking for dietary considerations for somebody that I know that just got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and I found out that chicken is actually the worst meat that he could eat when he's been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And I thought, holy cow, that's totally different than what we've been seeing for the last 40 years. And people have been talking about eating more white meat, right? And they're afraid of eating red meat. And then you actually found out, in the studies that I've been doing for the last week, that it's actually the worst form of meat that you could eat. And so, DW, I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of information I found. And I know that it's hard to share everybody with everybody here, and there's just not enough time. So I have to cover a couple of important things that are good for prevention and good for improving health. And when we're talking about pancreatic cancer, that's the subject tonight. So I'm going to stick mainly with that. I'm not going to get into talking about some of the other forms of cancer, and we'll get into that in a later subject. But, really this is the one that I thought we'd talk about, because I'm having to do some research on it right now for someone anyhow. So if we look at toxins as being the main source of cancer, what's another cause? Well, they say that viral infections are another cause of cancer. And so we got to look at some of the things that we can do. First of all, let's go into the most toxic room in your house. Let's take a look at your bathroom. Every day, you brush your teeth with toxic compounds. You wash your face and you put on products that have ingredients that cause cancer. You shampoo with cancer-causing chemicals. Then you put on other products that cause cancer before you ever leave the house. You think that might be part of the problem. Well, these things all cause a problem with the liver. And most scientists agree that after exposure, it takes less than a minute to be able to measure the toxin in other parts of your body. So it's absorbed through your skin, it runs through the system, and it's deposited in other parts of your body. You can measure it with lab tests. When the liver gets all loaded up, that's going to affect the rest of the body. The immune system has to start to take over and work on these problems, and it just can't keep up either. So what happens is that viruses that would normally be destroyed are building up in the body as well, and you start looking at stronger and stronger viruses coming around. I mean, when I was a kid, you hardly ever heard of anybody dying from the flu. Sure, I mean, there was somebody, you'd find somebody in their 60s, 70s, 90s, things like that had a diminished immune system, dying from the flu, but not like we do today. And so how do viruses actually build up? Well, the thing about it is that when a virus gets in your body, it mutates. The virus actually breaks apart and it replicates. It goes looking for something that looks similar to the part that it got rid of, and it combines with it. So now it combines with parts of the human host cells, and what that does, now you got a bird flu that actually can mutate and affect the human. That's why viruses get stronger and stronger and stronger, because they're constantly mutating. They're mutating as they travel from country to country. They're mutating as they travel from person to person. And they can mutate rather quickly. But not only that, if you've got a fairly decently strong immune system, the virus can actually combine with other parts, other parts from another virus, and then you have two viruses that combine and form a super strong virus. I mean, think about that. This is what's happening. And then we start looking at our diets being high in sugars, and really when you take a look at it, if sugar was invented today, table sugar was invented today, it would be considered a toxin. And the pancreas is making so much insulin that it doesn't have time to make the digestive enzymes. And the gut seems to start to fall apart. And we start looking at all the people that are suffering from digestive problems. Our immune system is located around the gut, and so we start looking at some of the things that affect that. The GMO foods, the glyphosate that destroys the gut lining, and it allows incompletely broken down proteins from food to enter into your body, and then the immune system tries to keep up. It tries to clean up this mess, but it just can't do it because it's being overworked as well. So you start seeing a system that's gradually falling apart. The energy that we once had is gone. We notice that we're not as healthy. We can't quite put our finger on it. We just know that we don't feel as good. We get stressed out more easily, and we reach for foods that are considered to be comfort foods, foods that make you feel good, right? And those are usually highly processed foods that have been designed to stimulate the release of serotonin and other neurotransmitters. So it makes you feel good, but you're not necessarily actually getting any healthier. Our brain starts to shut down a little bit, or it chugs along in this process of neurogenesis that I talked about a month ago. We're not making any more new brain cells. And when you aren't making enough brain cells, like I talked about a couple weeks ago, all of a sudden you start to age. This is the aging process, and cancer is a normal part of the aging process. If you live long enough, if I live long enough, we're going to have cancer. Cancer is part of the cycle of life. So as we talk about this, we're kind of leading to the part of the call that we have a little bit of fun with. We start talking about supplemental considerations for pancreatic cancer. And DW is great with knowing the products inside and out, and he's going to talk about some specifics on the different products, and that way I can stick to looking at the science, and I appreciate that he's able to do that with us on this call. So as I was talking to my friend who has pancreatic cancer, I started looking up what's the best thing. If somebody had pancreatic cancer, got diagnosed today, what would be the number one thing that you want to get them on? Well, there's something that's called turmeric, and there's an ingredient in there called curcumin, the curcumoids, and they're real strong at helping fight cancer. And when you do some research on it, PubMed lists it as something that really helps out with pancreatic cancer. And this is the ingredient that's found in curry. It's found in Indian-type foods. An extract known as cucumba longa is actually found to be one of the most powerful, and that's one of the ingredients that we have in some of our products with us in Sisel, right? If we're going to use curcumin, we want to use the most powerful so that you can have something that's going to make a difference. Again, we can't say cure or treat, but if you look at the research on PubMed, there's all sorts of studies on there. Ginger root falls into the same category, so actually falls in the same family as the turmeric, and ginger root has been used in natural health and in different kind of remedies for years and years and years. I mean, I heard about it way back when I was still in grade school, I believe, and so ginger root has been used for a lot of years. Another product, another ingredient that you've heard about if you've been with Sisel is chaga. I'd never heard about chaga before until we brought out our Sisel coffee, and chaga has been listed as one of the most powerful ingredient that we can add to these different recipes for the immune system. It's been used in a lot of different countries. Russia's been using it for a lot of years. It's beneficial for the body, not only for boosting the immune system, but they found that it helps with dealing with stress. And who these days can say that they don't have a stressful life? So anyhow, when I was at the hospital with my friend the other day, one of the oncologists was in the room, and I said to him, hey, have you ever heard of any natural products that you know of that would help with pancreatic cancer? And surprisingly, chaga was the only one that he ever heard of. Not turmeric, not ginger root. He talked about chaga. And I thought, wow, there's a guy that at least knows something about this. And so we've got chaga not only in our coffee, but we've got chaga in the Avenger product. So this is something that we want to look at. And then we start talking about fish oils. And fish oils, again, when you look at extracts, and we look at supplements that are beneficial for people that have any type of cancer, fish oils are included in almost every preventative program that I can find. The healthy fats boost the immune system, and they help allow the body to fight cancer. Fucoidan, lots and lots of studies. Again, if you go to PubMed, there's all sorts of studies on fucoidan being used for killing cancer cells, all sorts of cancer cells. It's also used for balancing sugars, so I include it in my protocol for going after this pancreatic cancer. There's books that have been written on it over in Japan on how it helps with cancer. If you go to PubMed, like I said, you can find thousands of studies. Resveratrol, it's been studied for the past couple of decades. Actually, a Nobel Prize was given to scientists for their studies on it. But there's so many health benefits, and there's so many cancer-related health benefits. Resveratrol by itself is kind of unstable, especially when it's exposed to oxygen. And so when we make it over at Sisel, it's produced and stored in a way that it never gets exposed to oxygen until you open that bottle. So if you never open the bottle, it should hold that same value. It should hold that stability for a long time. But once you open it, you want to make sure and consume that within the 30 days. And most nutritional supplements that have resveratrol, what I found from doing my reading on it, is that the effective dose that's written on the bottle, written on the label, isn't actually what's in the bottle because of oxidation. And so our body has literally thousands of biological processes that are going on at any given time. And all these processes are really driven by nutrients and essential trace minerals. And if you're missing even one, what happens is that biological process, that particular process that's going on, it stops. It stops at the point where it's missing the trace mineral. And so it can throw off the whole system. And a study that was done at Harvard a number of years ago indicated that 97% of people in America are missing key nutrients like essential trace minerals. They actually found that the average person is missing 5 essential trace minerals. And so how can you expect your body to heal when you're missing all these things? So we've got a product, our SpectraMax and our multivitamin, and I know DW is going to talk about that, but the body can only get rid of so many toxins at a time. The liver's being overworked. It needs to be assisted, and you can use detox products that will help with this. But detox products, most of them that are on the market, all they do is boost the function of the liver and boost the function of the gut. If the toxin's held tightly in the cells, it just can't break them loose, right? And so extracts from certain seaweeds like fucoidan help boost that function. And so this is another important function of fucoidan. When I looked up working with pancreatic cancer, one of the ingredients that they listed was EGCG, and it's an ingredient that's found in green tea. It's one of the healthy ingredients that's found in green tea, and it has the benefit of helping kill different types of cancer, and it's listed. When I started doing my studies on pancreatic cancer, it's actually something that's listed in the studies. Again, we can say that. We're not saying cure. We're not saying treat. We're just saying that there's studies that indicate this, that it helps. It boosts the immune system. It's been used for a long time because of medicinal properties. And then we start looking at some of the other things that we have in the Sisel Sencha green tea. which is medicinal mushrooms. We've got Ganoderma, and we've got Gotu Kola. These are all medicinal herbs that have been, and mushrooms that have been added to the green tea. They've been added to the Sisel coffee. They've been used for centuries, hundreds of years, because they improve health, and they've been used in ancient remedies with great results. And so that's kind of the list that I put together for my friend that's battling it. You know, he's stage 2, and our goal is that we're going to get this thing. We're going to get ahead of time, because the results with pancreatic cancer really aren't that good. When you take a look at stats, I read an article in the USA Today about 6 years ago, and they said that if you made it 6 months, you were considered a survivor. And we want to beat those odds. We want to beat those odds by getting started early, and that's exactly what we're doing in this case. Is that they haven't even started any type of chemo with him yet, and I know he's going to go for that. And he hasn't done the surgery. They're going to go in and they're going to remove part of the pancreas in November. And so I really look at it is that we've got 60 days to make a huge dent in this. We've got a little bit of time that we can play with, that hopefully we can make a huge change, and by the time that they go in there, we're going to see a huge reduction in that, and that's kind of the goal. And I thought I'd bring that because it is a cancer, like I said earlier, that's causing the fourth leading cause of cancer death in America. So let's look at that one. It's a major one. So DW, are you on the line with me? I know DW had to jump off and jump on another call real quick and share some information over there, and then he was going to come back over here. And so I don't think that he's made it back. So what I want to say is this, is that when we're looking at the Sisel products, you know, we were talking about the turmeric. What product do we find that in? And that's DW.
I'm right here, buddy. I'm right here when you need me, buddy.
Perfect. I just was calling for you, and just saying that you were going to talk about the different products that we have based on what I just talked about. So I know I sent you a list earlier. If you want to go over that with everybody, and then we'll talk about some changes we're going to make in this call.
You bet. And Dr. Fizz, when we're talking about this, and we're talking about there's a couple things that I want people to kind of wrap their brains around on this call. Is when you're attacking cells that are being destroyed and cells that are being compromised, you know, your body's going to start trying to help you rebuild. Then at some point, it actually gets exhausted and tired, and other areas start to break down. And so when you want to build up the immune system and build things up, so put yourself in a position to where you can best fight off cells that are being, cells that are being destroyed. One of the things that helps with that is a product called Ficoidin. It is massive. It's a massive immune blast builder. Okay, it has the same properties in it. As mother's milk. In other words, when a mother births a child for about anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, there's what they call colostrum milk, and it's immune blaster. Well, they put the same properties in Ficoidin, and Ficoidin helps with that. So it blasts your immune system. Here's what happens when you're really sick: you're going to take large doses of it. When you're not so sick and not going through so many challenges, you can go back down to normal dosage. And so this product helps with inflammation. It helps with the circulation. It gets in the system, and it fights free radicals. Free radicals are things that bust up the cells, and when a cell gets broke, it's like a guy drowning in the water, and it reaches out for other cells to hang on to and to grab a hold of and get their hands on. And so that's a product that is a game changer. So we have several things that build up the immune system. Another thing we want to do is get the heavy metals out of your body and toxins out, and we use Body Shield to do that. And that's what it's designed for. And we're going to go a couple other products here that we want to get into. And one thing that is another game changer that Doc talks a lot about, and we both love, and that's our fish oils. And not the phony bony fish oils. We're talking about all the fish oils. You've all heard of omega-3s. That's cool. It's a great place to start. but there's also omega-6s and 9s and, the whole gamut of all the omegas, all the fish oils. You can get your hands on that. And when you do the fish oils, it also has coenzyme Q10 in it, which that is like therapeutic nutrition for the heart as well. Because when your body gets compromised, your heart gets stressed, your brain gets stressed, and that's why the Omega Plus can go in there and cross the blood-brain barrier and help there. And then another product that we're finding, and Doc's been doing studies on this, and he's brought it to my attention, but we've been finding over the last 6-7 months that a product called resveratrol. Now we refer to it as Eternity. We have a product called Triangle of Life in it, and the Triangle of Life has 3 different products. It has Eternity, it has the Coiden, and it has the Ultramax in it. And so, not the Ultramax, the Spectramax. Now, you do need the Ultramax as well. That gives you the energy. Remember I said your body's compromised on energy. Small little sips of that through the day is going to give you some energy. And so, now, with a resveratrol, that's a certain kind of grape. Even the Bible says a little bit of wine is good for your stomach. It's referring to that resveratrol wine, that certain grape seed that has medicinal value in it, that goes in and restores the cells at a level that. Matter of fact, Doc, I don't even know. Maybe we'll do a whole call just on resveratrol sometime soon. But the factors in resveratrol is going to go in there and build things up. Now, something that when it comes to getting your body detox proper as well, we start people off on the Ficoid, and it's a mild detox for the liver, for the kidneys, okay? It's a detox for the small intestines. And then it goes in and starts healing things up. And so one product that I want you to wrap your brains around is our Spectramax. Notice the word Spectra. If you were to heal your body up of cancer all by yourself, you would go to a farmer's market to where you'd get everything as organic as you possibly could, and you would take a sliver of everything, fruit and vegetable that varied in different colors, and you would take that and you would do that 3 times a day. Costly, timely, and but Tom has made it, I don't want to say idiot-proof, but he's put every one of those fruits and vegetables that you need, every one of those antioxidants in our Spectramax. And it's massive. It's got some amino acids in there that kind of helps the emotions and the B12s and stuff that help the feel-good part of your body when you're going through some of these challenges as well. Green tea is something that's going to soothe and cleanse. It's a mild soothing and cleansing. All my Asian buddies that I love and spend a lot of time with, and they drink their green teas and teas before a meal and after a meal for their digestive tract, and they drink hot, and they drink small portions before. They do quite a bit more afterwards, okay? Not much food before you eat. Well, we have a green tea, Essentia green tea, that is a game changer. And you can drink that a couple different ways. You can have it hot each day. You can put a little honey, a little lemon in it if you want to. Organic, raw honey if you're going to use that at all. And no sweeteners, even better. But you can also take it and you can put it in there, and this will get you with energy. You can take about 5 little bags of it, get it all hot and brew it, put some ice in it, let it melt down with some honey in it as well, some pineapple chunks, some orange chunks in there, and some lemon chunks, and mix it with the fire and iced tea, a couple of bags of it for the energy side of what's going on, and help you there just a little bit. And have it put it in the fridge and have it as a cool, soothing, cold drink throughout the day. So those are some of the things that can help you turn things around and get better. And but we're real careful. We start with Ficoidin first. We like the mild detox first. And then we've got a product called Avenger. Depends on what you're going through and what challenges you have. But it helps build the immune system. And Avenger, sometimes we use a bottle at a time. And it's not something you have to do every day. But I'm a big proponent when it comes to using our influence and our body shield and the reason I say influence is all these things help build your immune system up and make them stronger. So, Dr. Kurt, does that help out a little bit, my friend?
You bet. Yeah, you covered everything that we talked about on the call. I really appreciate that, and we've kept it within pretty close to the time frame.
Oh, my goodness, I didn't even see what time it was. I get to going. Doc and I, we love this so much. We're so passionate about it. We don't live by clocks. We don't clock in and clock out of everywhere. And so when we get on these calls and we got to clock in and clock out, we're just really not used to that. So
you know what?
we love
you. I say this when we come in close to being 30 minutes, we just get lucky because I don't time it when I'm writing out what I'm going to talk about. I don't time it. I just write it out, and I go, man, I got lucky.
Oh, that's awesome. And we'll get with the person that brought you. Get these products ordered right away. And if you want to get in and give me a buzz and we go over dosage once you get the products ordered, I don't have a problem with that. Just your person that knows have you listen to this call, they'll know how to get a hold of me or Doc Biz, and we'll go over dosages based on what you're going through and make some recommendations or just consider what you're doing. But that's it, everybody, for the Doctor's Clinic and the Doctor's Call. The world is your waiting room. They're waiting on you to bring Sisel products that will change your lives to you. Doc Kurt, anything you want to finish up with?
Before we close out, I just wanted to say, Sisel Corporate wants to start doing an opportunity call the same time that we do this call. And so DW and I were talking about, why don't we pre-record it? He and I will pre-record it, and we'll put it up on Tuesday evenings so that everybody can go. They can go listen to it at their convenience. They can go to